Hello, love. So excited to be back with you. Here we are in October. I know the last 3 months of the year. And I think this is such an important time of the year. I think it's a time for holidays and fun and finishing the year and a time to really think about how your year has gone. What did you want to do differently? The year is not over yet. It is not over yet. And we have lots of things going on in Transform Boss throughout the rest of this year. And it's because every moment that we have is important. We kind of segment things into months and, holidays and all the things. And I say this time of the year is just as important for yourself and for working on yourself. And it's a great time to think about where you're at and where you want to go and what is the next step forward. Today's podcast I love because we have disappointments in life. And if you've ever been disappointed by something, that emotion can feel really heavy, especially if you're an emotional eater. We want to run from disappointment, but I think disappointment is important. I was thinking back to when I was on this weight loss journey for the last time of getting off the diet roller coaster. And I had lost some weight and I had hit a plateau. In my mind, I was like, I'm doing everything right, right, whatever that means. But in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm watching what I'm eating, I'm moving my body, I'm making my realistic plan, I'm doing all of these things. And I was getting coached, all the things, working on my mindset. And I hit this plateau and I hit a really, it was weeks and weeks of plateau. And I remember just feeling so disappointed. And then once I started feeling disappointed and I started having a lot of different thoughts about it. Like, how could this be happening? I'm doing everything right. I remember thinking, okay, let's eat less. Like, maybe this is where you're at. So I started to eat less. That wasn't working. I started moving more. That wasn't working. And I just started kind of feeling sorry for myself, like Shannon. It was like evidence that I was building up, like, you can't lose weight. And I was building that evidence through this plateau that I had hit. And it was honestly looking back now, it's just my body was just adjusting to the weight that I had lost. It was just kind of resetting itself. There was nothing to worry about. But because I had been on the diet roller coaster for so long and I focused on the scale and what I was losing, and I had these really high expectations that if I did it right, then I should lose weight. And when I didn't, I had a lot of thoughts about it. And what ended up happening is I started feeling sorry for myself. I started thinking, oh my gosh, your metabolism's broke. Look what you've done to yourself. Ladies, right? I was broken. I couldn't lose weight. And then I started thinking, I just wanted to give up. I started looking for different solutions. Like, okay, maybe I need to go back to, Atkins. Maybe I need to cut my carbs. And I knew logically it wasn't the way, right? I was at this point where I knew that wasn't the way, but my thoughts started puddling. I started thinking about these things. And so because I was feeling disappointed, I wanted it faster, I wanted it quicker. And again, I thought I was doing everything right. And I was starting to feel disappointed and frustrated. Have you ever felt like this? I'm sure you have in this weight loss journey. And, I think disappointment is a very common emotion. We run into it a lot in lots of things. We get disappointed that things didn't work out the way we thought they would. We get disappointed in we have these expectations of people, of our weight loss, of all these things, and we get disappointed when things don't quite work out the way we believe that they should. Or if we have expectations that are set pretty high and then they don't come true. Sometimes I've set low expectations, I thought, and then it didn't come true either. And so disappointment happens. And I'll tell you some of the reasons why I think feeds into disappointment. One, unrealistic expectations. And so, this is what happens. We want the weight off now. We want the relationship to feel better now. We want, more money now, more abundance now, our career to go the right way, our children to behave better now, right? We want everything now. And so we set these unrealistic expectations and we want, again, fast results. And also, I think there's a lot of comparison. And so comparing yourself to others' journeys or even to a past version of you. So, what I mean by that is somewhere in your life you lost weight. And maybe it was on some, really strict diet and you lost weight and you lost it fast. And so you are comparing those two different journeys, different times of your lives. And then you're feeling disappointed because you've set these unrealistic expectations. The second part, especially when it comes to weight loss, is scale obsession. We are obsessed with that scale and that number. And we make it mean a lot of things about ourselves, about our journey, about what we're doing. And, it oftentimes just leaves us feeling disappointed. And, because we want it to, move faster than it does. And in the days that we do lose weight, it's a very short-lived excitement because it's a feeling, right? You get on the scale, you've lost some weight, it feels great for that moment, but then you're worried about the next pound. This is what happens. The third, I think, are plateaus. And even times where you have transitions in your life where maybe you're going through something, maybe your body's going through something, right? You're changing meds or you had a surgery or, all the different things. You might feel disappointed when you jump on that scale or you start feeling your clothes a little tighter. Plateaus are very natural. Anytime you kind of have a transition to period time in your life, that can show up in your weight loss. It can show up in your relationships. It can show up in many different forms. And then it just leads again to that disappointment feeling. And I want to talk about perfectionism. That's kind of the fourth reason why I think it happens and why it's prevalent. So when you think you have to be perfect, when you have this all or nothing thinking, again, it leads to these extreme pressure of time and what you should be doing. And I should be only eating, this. I should move my body this, much. I should be meditating and writing in a journal and all of these things. And so you put this pressure on yourself. And so what happens is when you're in this perfectionistic mindset or all or nothing thinking, I think it leads to disappointment and ultimately leads to overwhelm and you do nothing. And then you're even more disappointed, not just in the process, but disappointed in yourself. And when you get disappointed in yourself, it's really heavy feeling. You go into the feeling sorry for yourself and I can't do this. Something is wrong with me. Again, disappointment is a natural emotion. I don't think you should run from it. What to do with it is to start to get curious about why it's happening. And, I think about this in starting to reframe and ask questions. Remember, any time that you ask yourself questions, this is what coaching, the foundation of coaching, just in case you're new around here, is asking questions. And you can self-coach and ask yourself questions. We teach that. I teach all my clients how to do it. And then also, you can have someone else, which I think is extremely powerful in a coaching session or group coaching session where you can watch those questions and how someone else's brain responds or your own. And I tell you, that is why coaching is so powerful. What to do with disappointment is starting to ask yourself questions about why. When you start to explore why the disappointment, is it because you had unrealistic expectations? Is it because you start having perfectionism or all or nothing thinking? Once you know why, then you can start to change the dialogue. You can start to change what's going on in your brain. And then also celebrating what is going right. This is the second way that you can kind of overcome or really understand where disappointment's coming from. You can start to celebrate your wins, and they can be non-scale wins. I think that's so important. I'm doing this part of the process, showing up for myself. That is a win. Today, I think about my clients and when they come to calls or they come to a workshop or they get coached, I'm just so proud of them because showing up as women for ourselves has been difficult and for many of us. And so again, starting to shift your focus and focusing on your wins so that you can feel good, successful. If you keep focusing on your failures or what you're not doing, that's what you'll get. Remember, whatever you think is what becomes. And so, again, my love, disappointment will happen in your weight loss journey, and it's part of life. So, whatever area of your life you're working on right now, I think when it hits and it hits you hard, you're feeling disappointment, just some self-compassion. I would say I would offer that always. How do you have kindness towards yourself like you would give to someone else? So, for example, if I was feeling a certain way and I was beating myself up, I have no doubt that you would be kind to me and you would offer compassion. Take that back to yourself. Yes, kindness and compassion to yourself. And then, get support. This is what I love about Transform Boss and all of my clients and how they support each other and help each other out, because there are times where you feel disappointed, discouraged, and you need to either watch how others are managing through that, or you just need someone to say, "It's all right. You got this, girl. You do. Just keep going, keep taking that next step forward." And so having support systems are really important, I think, in just life. If you had to ask me why folks are so struggling in this world right now, it's because we've become so disconnected. We're just on our phones and we're not part of communities of like people that we talk to and that support us, that know us. And so when you can find a community that is going through the same thing that you're going through, that can support and help you, I highly recommend that. So this is the thing. And disappointment, my love, it's a feeling. And it happens. You don't have to escape from it. You don't have to run from it. You can feel it. You can allow yourself to feel it. And how you do that is just take some deep breaths, start asking yourself how disappointment feels in your body, and then have some compassion and kindness to yourself. Get some support. One of my favorite things I say to myself is, "This too shall pass. This too shall pass. I'm on a plateau. It'll pass. I'm just going to keep focusing on the process. I'm going to keep focusing on what I'm doing. And I'm not going to get in my head about it. I'm not going to puddle about it. I'm just going to keep taking the next step forward." You got this, my love. You really do. And it's just one step forward. All right, my loves. I will see you in a couple weeks and talk to you soon. All right. Bye, my loves.